Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you for joining with us again.
We always love doing this. And Mom, how is your day going thus far?
Brandon, my day's been great. How about yours?
All was well here.
That's great. Are you ready to talk about another episode of S.H.I.E.L.D?
Yes, I sure am.
All right, we're talking about today episode 17 called Turn, Turn, Turn.
Well, there certainly were a lot of turns in this episode.
There sure were.
Yes, this episode released April 8th of 2014.
All right, and I'm going to give a very, very brief synopsis. It's going to be very brief. Basically, Coulson's team know that they need to look for the clairvoyant, and so they use the help of other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents along with Coulson's team, and they discover in the midst of this that the clairvoyant is actually a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. And that is all I'm going to say right now.
Well, Mom, thank you for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
And overall, long before we had started discussing this series, I told you if you ever watch a show, you at least need to make it to episode 17. What did you think about this episode?
You were very correct, Brandon. I sat, watched it, and I was shocked. It takes a lot to shock me on a TV show. And so this one actually did shock me. And I guess it was the twist that shocked me more.
Which one? There were so many.
There were so many, but I think at the very end. And so I don't want to spoil it for other people. I know might indirectly spoil it, but at the very end, there was something that went on that actually made me look twice.
Yeah, I would definitely say that's the shocker for anyone. I think even for myself, in my first watch of this in 2018, um, I wish I hadn't, but I'd already read through the Wikipedia page, so I knew something was going to happen, but even still, watching it, I think was just so shocking.
I know. And then, of course, then I have my theories afterwards because I think that the Colson person who you guys know who I'm talking about, I'm like, well, is this person in some sort of trance? Do they have the little eyeball thingies that some of the other people had? So yes, I was surprised.
Well, like I said, it truly, I can attest that it does take a lot to shock you, and I'm glad that this was able to provide this shock. And I know you had some predictions earlier. So, how did it feel knowing that we now know who the actual identity of the clairvoyant is?
Well, I thought it was cleverly done. I'm not saying that I could not have guessed the clairvoyant. I was. I will say this: I was wrong on the obvious front. Um, there was something that was said during a conversation that made me go, "Oh gosh, maybe it is this person," which is completely different from the which is completely different from the main person who I thought about. And of course, I've said numerous times I thought it was Agent Hand. And so I'm not saying she didn't play a part in something, but what I'm saying is that she was not the culprit who I thought she would be. And um, and so if you're watching this, hopefully you've already seen episode 17.
Yes, definitely. I hope everyone has, and yeah, there definitely may be some uh, indirect or direct, as a spoilers within this discussion. But I will say this episode was written actually by the series creators.
Yeah, and I do know that this episode's how many years old, Brandon?
Uh, I guess, gosh, 11 years old now.
Okay, so hopefully this is not a shocker for any of y'all, but yes, my first thought was on Agent Han, and I said that initially all the way through, and then when I saw who it was, I should have guessed. However, I was led astray.
Yeah, I will say that I think right in the middle of the conversation, maybe half a minute before, Coulson had realized it. I think you're like, oh, wait, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I did. And when I was watching it, that was the one line I did say. I said, "Oh, didn't he talk about this previously? How does this person know?"
But would you say that that person's a good clairvoyant?
I thought they were good clairvoyants. Very clever.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't know. I think this episode definitely is done really well. And something that I didn't know was said until I watched it with you last time was in episode 16. um, Sky was having a conversation with the person that would be the clairvoyant, and that person said the words "turn, turn, turn,"
Oh, I didn't hear that.
and I mean it's something that I guess wouldn't have stood out to me, but in a rewatch, I was like, oh, huh, they said it right here.
Oh,
Um, I
wow.
never knew.
Wow. And I sure didn't catch it. Of course, my first time watching through, so I don't think I would have caught. Well, obviously, I didn't catch it.
But yeah, but I mean, would you say that? I mean, again, you've now 17 episodes in. Would you say that episode 17 lives up to what's that to our discussions prior to you watching the series?
For a shock value, yes, it did live up to the shock value.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you like learned within this episode before we move on to 18?
Um, I don't know. I guess I had to go back and listen to some conversations. Even the organization that the clairvoyant works for, that surprised me too. It shouldn't have, but it did.
Yeah, and I will say that you actually, before our discussion, you actually were able to relate this to the movie that came out at this time, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and that's odd because Brandon, I don't normally do that. So yes, they made one line that made me think about it.
But yeah, so just to let you know is that whereas for the Dark World movie, whereas that one happened between episodes, is that Captain America: The Winter Soldier is happening at the same time as this episode.
All right, makes sense because they make some reference to things going on this particular episode.
Yes, and so like in last week's episode, for episode 16, Agent Sitwell was actually in the movie,
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
and so in last week's episode, when if you remember when they called him to go to some ship, he was actually in that ship in the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, that makes a lot of sense if that movie was out at that time. So I'm glad they were able to coincide both of them.
Yeah, so it definitely runs concurrently, and yeah, I mean, so mom, now we're at episode 17. We just have a handful of episodes left of this first season that we're watching. Do you have any thoughts heading into those next episode? Any new predictions?
I don't have predictions. I just want to know how they're going to unravel what we learned, or at least for about the one person. And so I do want to know how they unravel that.
Well, awesome. Well, like I said, any other thoughts or anything that you have before we go ahead and head into the episode?
I don't have any initial thoughts. They did explain. Well, last week I kind of mentioned that it ended with May speaking, well, being accused, of course, of going against Colson, and we do find out what May is really doing.
Yes, we definitely do. We definitely do learn that. Do you believe her?
Um, Actually, I do. I don't know why, but I do believe her.
Well, that's good to know. And Agent Trip is on the good side.
Yep, Agent Trip is on the good side, and so and of course, I had asked you that a couple times. I watched, but at the same time, it's like, let me just make sure: is he really a good person? And he is a good person, and that's all we're going to say about good and bad.
But yeah, and we find out Nick Fury is dead.
Yeah, we do find that out, and which of course led me to the Winter Soldier.
But yeah. Well, Mom, are you ready to go ahead and head on to the next one?
I am ready to watch episode 18, Brandon. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. The episode is titled Providence.
All right, so let's go ahead and watch, and we will speak to everyone next week.
Yeah, stay tuned,
All right, have a great day, everybody.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.